Okay, hello. It is Thursday, January 18th, 2018 or 2018. It's Thursday about 11 o'clock, a little after, maybe quarter after 11 in the morning, and I'm on Sioux Street between Broadway and 5th in front of the now owned bank house at 265 Sioux Street. This is the house that I spent 42 years of my life in, and I bought it at the age of 21. It's just about within a week of my 21st birthday in November of 1976. And when I first bought the house, it was covered in a slate siding and it was rather broken up. Now I've worked on the house the whole time that I've been here. And I'm just walking around it right now. Like I say, now the bank owns it. I lost it to foreclosure. Everything was done exactly legal. But it's just the system that's kind of screwed up, and I'll kind of go into that later. Now, I've had entry-level job after entry-level job here while in Winona, and none of them have gone particularly well. I've never really gotten the raises or promotions. But this house has kind of been my private sanatorium. I would come home and do stuff to this house. And so if you see the chimney and all the stonework around the bottom, that was all done by me. The chimney is a hollow chute. It's formed out of plywood, and it's got two Class A chimney liners, triple wall stainless steel chimney liners. Now you can see the roofing is getting bad. I put that on in 1976. That little dormer there, I added that to the upstairs room. I also added a back dormer to the back room, and there you can really see the shingles are bad. Yeah, you can just see a little bit of that dormer. I gutted this whole house completely. Took out all the old tube and post wiring, put in modern grounded Romex, replumbed the whole thing, and changed floor layouts. Now the house is an absolute mess, and you can see there have been places where birds have been digging into it, and squirrels in multiple locations. What can I say? I did so much work on this place when I was younger. The other day I heard Jared play Burning Man, my episode of mixlr.com/mn-rob/showreels, and it's probably way back. Burning Man was the name of it, but I talk about building that shed, which is all out of sheets of plywood that you don't have to cut. There's no ripping of the plywood. I did to make it's 16 feet long, not 12 feet long, but I did just to carry a sheet of plywood over the joints in a couple of spots. But yeah, I came up with the trusses so that you wouldn't have to cut the plywood. Anyway, the house looks completely different. From the Burning Man, I mentioned working on that car. I've never driven that car. I bought it on eBay. It said that it had a little fire on the radio. When I got it home, the whole underside of the dash was burnt off. So I've done a lot of the transplant work on it. It used to be a VR6 with an automatic. I put in the manual transmission, the foot pedal clusters, all that stuff are there. The steering is all there. The wiring is all in. The engine is in. It's a 4-cylinder 1.9 liter TDI out of, I believe, the same year, 97. And then this car over here is a car that I've got a lot of stories in that car. I took it every place from Washington. I think I went over to Vancouver Island in it. And I've also gone down to St. Augustine, Florida in it. But I drove that car down Coast Highway 1 from Washington State, about the center of California, and then took a left and went over to Minden, Nevada for a Grumman flying convention. But anyway, back to the house. From this corner corner of the house, this is the front of the house, there had been another porch that came up further and covered that front window in the side there, and it was a porch that was only about 6 feet wide, and it was falling down. The whole house had a lot of problems to it, but I tore down a house up on top of Garvin Heights to get the lumber for the porch addition and the garage addition. So the garage was added by me. It's a 2-story. The upstairs is a lovely space because, as you can probably tell, this is right before noon, and the noon sun gets a lot of light into the upstairs of the garage, and it also gets a lot of light throughout the rest of the house. It's one of the reasons I really like this house and why I stayed here. It's also 10 blocks that way to the lake. You can see the bluffs in the background, and if I go to that street, 5th Street, and go about 6 blocks that way, maybe 8, then I'm at the YMCA, and another 2 blocks into downtown Winona. And then over that way, about 5 blocks is the pool. So it's a very convenient spot for me in my retirement, which I'm not here anymore. There's nobody here right now. Yeah, I spent the month of November grabbing everything I could. I was told that I had to be out of it. The bank owned the house. They gave me 28 days to remove all my personal property. And right up until the last day, and even to this day, I still feel like this is my house. I put my whole life into it. Those steps, you know, I built, the stone and everything. The foundation under the porch, it connects to the basement. It's a full tall stand-up basement, which is rare in this part because we're on a sandbar, and so you dig down any depth at all and you're into water. But this is one of the oldest sections of town. The house was 140 years old. It had been built out of the lumber from a tore down church, Olive Branch Methodist Church, 140 years before I moved into it. And when I first bought it, when you'd look down that peak from the front to the back, it had a big sway in it. There was multiple, I mean, the plumbing and heating people had cut through so many joists that, you know, the floors were all sagging and everything. The house had actually been condemned before I bought it. I didn't know that when I bought it. The previous owners went through and just covered everything up. There was shag carpeting on the floor, tile on all the ceilings, and cheap paneling on all the walls. And the wiring, the plumbing, everything was absolutely horrendous. So it looks a lot different when there isn't so much junk in the yard. And it looks a lot different when well, I see there's a new sign on the door, 2 new signs. The top one was posted by the sheriff. It tells me that if I step foot on the property that they can haul me off in handcuffs, or maybe shoot me in the head if I choose to resist. That looks like a sign by Boomers. I have a Boomers story to go along with everything else. But it looks like Boomers winterized the house, so it looks like it's not heated at all right now. It does have a heated garage, and it has Wurzbro heating pipes in the floor, which I never got to hook up. I didn't have the boiler source for heat, but it's there. I always thought having a nice floor to work on would be good. This was going to be my little design studio. If you know anything about the make it movement that's going on, that's pretty much how I made my whole life. I made so many things for my projects and for other people's projects, stuff that I built for other people. But yeah, if I have a great emotional attachment to this property, it's because I put my whole life into it. If you understand modern day banking practices, you know, the bank has actually recovered any money that they put into it a long time ago. but I'm before I state any numbers here, I'm going to actually go out and do the research and try to find out what the bank actually has into this property, because I did borrow money from it and I did make payments on it. I kept making payments on everything until I couldn't make payments on anything, and I was unable to find work. So I've helped a lot of people with startups in this community, and when I need some help just to kind of preserve my what should have been a, you know, not by any ways a lavish, you know, retirement, but a nice retirement, you know, where I could work on my projects. There's a full-size metal mill and lathe. There's sandblaster equipment. There's a full compressor, a nice 2-stage compressor that all got abandoned. There's a ton of tooling here. There's so much stuff that I left here, including these cars. There's a Alfa Romeo race car in that shed there. It's completely stripped. There's nothing on it at all. It's a empty body with a broken nose, and then I have a nose section that I cut off another car that's just inside the garage. There's also multiple engines, Alfa Romeo engines, Volkswagen engines, Vanagon engines, Subaru engines, even an airplane engine in there, and all of it now belongs to the bank. So that's it. That's my thing. But the rest of my life I'm going to just spend exposing what the financial system is all about, why Ron Paul, you know, had his End the Fed campaign, and, you know, I did a radio show, and I posed the question, is the Minneapolis Fed getting ready to grease North Dakota? And North Dakota has its own bank. It's the only state that's still in the black. So that'll be the rest of my life I'll spend on just that question. Why don't more states have their own bank? Why don't we decentralize and repeal, which is the mantra of Jack Blood I'm a longtime listener to Jack Blood, another source of, you know, decoding the fake news, I guess. So anyway, I guess that's it for this one. I think it's my last day in Winona, probably till May. Tomorrow I'll probably take off sometime. I'm driving my little Vanagon down south. I've been telling everybody, they ask, where are you going? I say warm. You look at the maps, the whole damn United States has been cold, so much for global warming. It's as warm here at, right now it's close to 30 degrees or so. Every place else in the United States is not much above 30 or 40. So anyway, that's me, Rob O'Sell, saying goodbye from 265 Sioux Street in Winona, Minnesota.